Thank you very much for your time today. What were your initial reactions when you heard this story? Because some people might just be thinking, well, who cares ultimately? It's just a badge.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, I can see it sort of seems like, fiddling with name tags whilst Rome burns. It seems like a minor thing. But actually, it's part of a much bigger problem. And just to put this in context, a couple of weeks ago, I asked people in city law firms and banks to get in touch about equality and diversity training schemes and initiatives at their work. And I was absolutely inundated by often quite senior people who were furious about what was happening within their organisations, because something like a pronoun badge or adding pronouns to signatures is not neutral. What that says is, as an organisation, we don't believe biological sex matters. Now, for Halifax in particular, and indeed for the banking sector more widely, it clearly does, because actually we know that there is, for example, a significant pay gap when it comes to the difference between men and women. And when I tried to get people to talk on the record about sort of what was going on in their organisations, very few would. And these were senior people. And if they weren't prepared to speak out about it, it doesn't matter if Halifax says it's a choice. Clearly, this is something that is, in some senses, compelled speech. You're sort of being forced to go along with an ideological viewpoint. And it's about as appropriate as expecting staff to all wear crucifixes.
And Joe, I'm wondering then, do you think, because they are saying this is optional, right? But do you think you'll have a workforce which, frankly, is really, really quite scared to turn around and say, well, actually, no, I don't want to wear one of those? Do you think actually there is sort of de facto coercion here because people will be so terrified of being called a TERF or whatever else that people get called for believing in women these days?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it is an absolutely career-ending smear to be called transphobic. We've seen people having book contracts pulled. We've seen sort of quite significant discrimination against those who hold gender-critical beliefs. Now, gender-critical beliefs are actually protected in law, but frankly, if you're, if even senior people in companies aren't prepared to push against this, and I totally understand their reasons for not doing so, if even they're not comfortable doing it, then what's it going to be like for the cashier who says, I don't want to wear this name badge?